Fine, children. So we have done with the survey research yesterday, and there are various techniques of survey research. To start with the first one, we have done personal interviews. Yes, interview, clear to you people? What is an interview, the types of interview, and the different combinations of interview. This we all have done in yesterday's class, right? Now let us start with the next topic that is known as questionnaire survey. All must have heard this word questionnaire. Yes, you all must have seen also what a questionnaire look like. Questionnaire is what? Simply a set of questions. And now questionnaire survey is some ways similar to a highly structured interview. If I say that questionnaire survey is very much similar to a highly structured interview, then what does it mean? Whenever we talk about structured, what does this mean? That it consists of close-ended question. It consists of objective type question, right? So questionnaire looks like that a proper set of questions are there and certain alternatives or options are given in front of you, and you have to pick the best which you think. But in questionnaire survey, we have this structured interview, we have this close-ended question, but beside it, we also have open-ended question. Now, open-ended question, as I explained you yesterday, suppose a topic is given and you have to write upon that topic. Or you can also relate it with the 6-mark question which came in your final exam this time. Yes, that was a long type question in which you have to write it in detail. So that will also an open-ended question. Now in questionnaire survey, the options are given either in the form of yes or no, or in the form of true or false, or certain rating scales are used. Now what does this mean? If I say questionnaire includes sometime the rating scales, this means that there are various alternatives given. Suppose I say a questionnaire is a 3-point rating scale. That means what? That rating scale consists of 3 alternatives. Suppose agree, undecided, and disagree. Yes, I have given you a statement. Let's take this example which I have just given, that healthy parent-child relationship improves emotional adjustment of a child. Okay, this is the question. Now 3 alternatives or 3 options are given under this question. First one is agree, second one is undecided, and third one is disagree. Now why this is called a 3-point rating scale? Because out of these 3 alternatives, you have to select only one which you think is the best. If you agree with the statement, you will put a tick on agree. If you disagree with the statement, you will put a tick mark on disagree. And if you are undecided, you don't know whether this is right or wrong, you know, you are in the middle of the scale, you are undecided, so you will put a tick mark on undecided. Very simple, right? So this is what we call 3-point rating scale. In the same way, if there is a 5-point rating scale, see 5 alternatives are there now. What it could be? It could be strongly agree. Second one is agree. The third option could be undecided. Fourth one could be disagree. And fifth one could be strongly disagree. Earlier it was agree, undecided, and disagree. Now, when we are taking the 5-point scale, we have added 2 more alternatives on the extreme side. Now we have added strongly agree to that side and strongly disagree to another side. And in between, we have taken undecided, right? So in the same way, there are 7-point rating scale, there are 9-point rating scale, there might be sometimes there 11 to 13-point rating scale. So it depends upon the nature of the questionnaire. So questionnaire survey, whenever we talk about, we will write that it looks like a highly structured interview because it consists of close-ended questions. But it also includes the open-ended question. Now we will tell what types or what type of ratings it have. We will give some example of 3-point or 5-point rating scale, as I just explained you. Now, what else we can write? The questionnaire is used for collecting background and demographic information. If you remember, children, I explained you the types or the nature of data. In that, I explained you what is demographic data, what is physical data, what is psychological data, and what is physiological data. 4 types of data we have done. So demographic means the personal information of the respondent, the background of the respondent. So questionnaire is used generally to collect this demographic information related to attitudes of people, opinions of people, knowledge about a particular topic. Suppose I want to have the information, I want to test the knowledge of any student. So I just give him or her a topic and then I can ask certain questions. So this is how I will test the individual's knowledge on the current topic. Now, what is the disadvantage of this particular method, questionnaire survey? The main problem of a mailed questionnaire is poor response from the respondents. Now, now what is happening? Sometimes researcher mail the questionnaire to respondents' house. So in that case, what is happening? The respondents are not properly responding. They are not giving the questionnaires back. They are not filling it. So this is the main problem of a mailed questionnaire. If you are giving or if you are sending questionnaire to somebody's house through mail, so there are less chances of getting it back. This you can write in disadvantage of questionnaire survey. Now, another technique under the same method, that is survey research, it is known as telephone survey. Very simple, as name is suggesting, on telephones or on mobiles, the researcher or experimenter is taking the responses of the respondents. Right? Now, the method of observation have been discussed earlier. This method is also used for conducting surveys. Telephone survey pe what we are doing? We are conducting surveys. We are asking certain questions to the respondent. Suppose, let's take an example. A new product has been launched in the market, and the manufacturer company of that particular product wants to have feedback. So what it will do, the HR department of that manufacturing unit will make phone calls to particular individuals randomly. And they're going to ask that, how did you find this product? Have you purchased this? So a lot of questions related to that particular product, be it a cosmetic product. So phone calls will be given to the female candidates, because that product is generally consumed by females. So on telephone survey, the researcher, the experimenter is asking certain questions, and as a respondent, you are giving the answers. So this is known as telephone survey. Very easy, nothing to write much under this. Fine. Now, if we talk all together about the survey method, we have done personal interviews. Second one was what? Questionnaire survey. And the third technique is telephone survey. So these are the three techniques of survey research. Now, at the end of every method, we are also discussing its advantages and disadvantages. So the survey method is also having several advantages. What is the first one? Information can be gathered quickly and efficiently from thousands of persons. See, this is a very quick method of collecting the data. You can collect the information of thousands of people very quickly. So it is an advantage. What is the second one? Since surveys can be conducted quickly, public opinions on new issues can be obtained almost as soon as the issues arise. Very obvious. If it can conduct it quickly, so we can have a very fast survey on the public opinions, or we can have the public opinions about any current issue, any new problem, any current problem which the society or the country is facing. Conduct survey and I can obtain the information, the opinion of people, of thousands of peoples very quickly, right? So this is also an example of getting information quickly and on the current issues, on the current challenges or problems. Now, there are some limitations as well, as every method is having advantages and disadvantages. So what are the limitations of survey research? First of all, people may give inaccurate information because of memory lapses, or they may not want to let the researcher know what they really believe about a particular issue. See, this is a problem with every test, because as humans, we always like to give the acceptable reasons or answers. What are those? If a question comes to us and we are feeling that by giving negative response, a negative image could be created, yes, or the person can take us wrong, so what you will say? You will just give the response opposite to your opinion. The thing which you are really feeling, because accuracy is not there, because sometimes we forget also, sometimes we are not able to recall the things. So what we do, we give inaccurate or incorrect answers. So this is a human behavior. Sometimes memory lapses, sometimes we do not want to highlight or reveal our true personality to the researcher, right? What is the second limitation? People sometimes offer responses they think the researcher wants to hear. Same thing. This second point is also almost same as the first point. We always want to give the likable responses. Yes, we always want to create a good and positive image of ourselves in front of the society. So generally this tendency has been seen that people give socially acceptable and likable responses in place of what they actually thinks or what is their real opinion. So this is another limitation. So here for this, we are ending the survey research method. I just summarize how many methods we have done. The first one we have done observational method. The second one we have done the experimental method. After that, we have done this survey research method. Under this method, we have done 3 techniques. What are those techniques? The personal interviews, the questionnaire survey, and the telephone survey, right? Till here, I hope you people are getting the things, you're understanding. Now let us start with the new subtopic, psychological testing. 2 terms are there. Psychological testing. Now what does this mean? There are certain tests available in psychology which are testing the psychological attributes. I also explained you earlier what are those psychological his value system, his emotional level, his motivational level. So these are what? Psychological attributes. And there are various tests available to test these attributes of an individual. So this is known as psychological testing. Now these tests are used for various purposes. What are those purposes? Suppose a personal selection has to be done. Suppose a company want to recruit some employees, right? So they will apply this test particularly meant for personnel selection. Other purposes could be for training, for guidance, for diagnosis also. If you want which are known as projective techniques, behavioral analysis, situational tests, right? So psychological tests are used for various purposes. Sometimes they are using for diagnosis purpose. Sometimes they are using for guidance. Career counseling and guidance is there. Into that, what a counselor does. A counselor simply applies an aptitude test to a student. The student fill up that test, do that test, and there is a proper assessment of that test done. After doing that assessment by the counselor now is able to tell the student that you have this particular aptitude and you should pursue these career options because you have an aptitude for these career options and you're going to have a very successful career in these streams, right? So these are what? Psychological tests. Now the basic definition, a proper definition, what is a psychological test? As the test anyone can make. If I just ask you to write certain questions related how to check somebody's intelligence, you will also write certain questions, suppose 20 questions you prepared. A psychological test is what? A standardized and objective instrument. Now, what does this mean? When we talk about objective and standardized, we have done these terms in this chapter only when we were discussing the steps of psychological inquiry, right? A test has to be standardized, a test has to be objective, then only it is used to assess an individual's standing in relation to others or in relation to the normal population. I'm again explaining what the term objectivity means. Objectivity, if the two persons are doing the same thing using the same tools and they are getting the same result, that is termed as objectivity, because two persons are doing the same thing but they are getting the same result, so that is known as objectivity. A test has to be objective, because if number of persons are doing that test but they are coming with the same thing, the test is testing their aptitude. Let us take an example. So it is testing the aptitude of all the persons, so it is known as objectivity. Now if I say a test has to be standardized, so a standardized test involves certain steps. Now, what are those steps? There are number of steps, or there are number of things which have to be there to become a test standardized. Yes, a test is standardized only if certain terms are there. What are they? First one is reliability. There are two types of reliability: test, retest, and split half reliability. See, we have talked about objectivity. This is clear. Now, if a test has to be standardized, what should it have? The first requirement is a test should be reliable. Reliability should be there. Now, what does this mean? Reliability of the test refers to the consistency of scores obtained by an individual on the same test on two different occasions. Are you getting the thing? What is the difference between reliability and objectivity? In objectivity, what is happening? Two persons are doing the same thing and they are coming up with almost the same result. In reliability, what is happening? Suppose Gorvi is there and Gorvi has done a particular test. Let us take a test related to values. Fine. So Gorvi has conducted that test on 2nd of May. Fine. And then again she is doing that test, same test, on 15th of May, right? So she has conducted that test twice. But after analyzing the scores, as a researcher, I am noticing that on 2nd May she got 42 out of 50, right? And on 15th May she got 42 and half or 43 out of 50. So no much difference, not a big difference, quite a little difference is there. So I can say that this test is consistent. This test is reliable because an individual is conducting the test on two situations on different times and she is getting almost the same result. So what does it show? The consistency of scores. Consistent matlab similar rehna. So Godby is getting almost the same scores on the two different time or on two different situations, but the test is similar. It is testing the value system of her, right? Got the point? So reliability is what? Just remember, consistency of scores. Now there are two types. First one is test dash retest. This is the first type of reliability. Test between the two sets of scores on the same set of person. What we are doing, we want to know the stability, how much this test scores stable over time, right? So what we are doing, we are finding out the coefficient of correlation between the two sets of scores on the same set of person. Person is same and he is having two set of scores. Now what we are doing, we are trying to find the coefficient correlation, the term which we have discussed under correlational research. What is correlation coefficient? In this, we try to find out the strength and the direction of the relationship between the two variables, right? So test retest में क्या कर रहे हैं हम? Same person is there, but two set of scores are there, and we try to find out the coefficient of correlation, the relationship. Now, the second one is known as split half reliability. Now, split half reliability means that it is an indication about the degree of internal consistency of the test. Split half reliability क्यों करा जाता है? Why we conduct this reliability? To find the internal consistency. Students, let us discuss the other topic tomorrow as time is over. Ma'am, you can